And we're live. Woo!
Yay.
Hi, Tim. Hi, Jessica.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello, audience. Jessica, thank you for being here and coming to us from Ohio. That's exciting.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I just realized now that you're in San Diego, we could have did this a couple of days ago when I was visiting your city.
We could have done it. We could have done it together.
The whole in-person thing screws everything up.
Oh,
I can't, like, because you'd be in one little, and I'd have to change the show graphic.
Tim and I tried
the boxes. Yeah,
we tried to go live together. We're not so bad, Tim, but we are better not together.
Yeah, we went from social media marketing world, I think. Well, and it was because Christelle, despite being in San Diego, has never actually been to social media marketing world. So it was in the Hyatt bar. I think I went live with Christelle, social media marketing world. Anyway,
things work out. Yeah.
Anyway, enough of this chitter chatter between us. We have the exciting guest that is Jessika Phillips. Jessika Phillips, who is known as the world expert on relationship marketing. So, tell us what relationship marketing is, and also any pertinent facts about your background as to how you ended up becoming an expert in relationship marketing.
Oh, wow. Okay. So first off, relationship marketing in my definition is simply focusing more on how you can grow repeat and referral business, both in the sense of clients, but also in community and in your team. So focusing on how we can turn our followers, I like to say, into real fans of ours, our clients into our biggest advocates, our team members into our biggest evangelists, and our community into our biggest collaborators. So really kind of focusing in on relationships, going deeper, not necessarily wider, when marketing's tied on to the end of anything. Most people think like bullhorn your message out, broadcast. And I like to take it as a magnet. Like, how can we get people to stick with us longer because they become our biggest advocates and help us become our marketing army to grow our brand and to build sustainable growth. And how I got into this, I don't know if there's like a really short story, but I'll try to give you like the Cliff Notes version. So I've always found that relationships are the best currency. I like to say in business, but also in life, really, because I moved around a lot when I was younger. I lived in 26 places before I was 16. That's a whole other show for another day. But being someone that moved around a lot, I had to learn to make friends quickly, right? To belong, like that, hierarchy of needs is belonging for all of us. And I realized like the quote that says, the most interesting person in the room is the one that's the most interested. And it's so true, right? Like, so when we can genuinely become interested in someone else and build a connection, that builds a rapport that doesn't matter like where you move, in my case, when I was younger, or where you're working at, your clients will be loyal to you. So when I was younger, I've still maintained friendships through all the school systems I lived in, which is awesome from doing that. But also in my career, how I grew into calling this relationship marketing and starting my own agency was I started out in telecommunications in the day of the Zach Morris phones, where they were like super giant and big. And sorry if I'm showing my age here for anybody else that doesn't know that reference. It's Saved by the Bell, the big bag phones, they were that big. But it was also before the day of like text messaging and photo messaging and data. Our phones literally, like, they just made phone calls, if you can believe it, at that time. Now people are like, why are you calling me if people do that? But when I worked in telecommunications, data and text and all that was just coming out. And I moved from customer service rep to sales rep to store manager to distribution partner because of my ability to build relationships with the people that were in front of me by asking a lot of questions, getting to know them, not being so pushy on trying to sell the new services, and waiting, being patient, solving the problem when I was in customer service. When I was in the sales department, I was only fitting them with what they needed, not, the whole bundle, and being pushy. When I was a store manager, I was treating my team with respect when I understood like they had, families and things outside of just working and selling. And all the while I was building rapport. So my last job that I had in telecommunications, I was a distribution partner where I worked with like mom and pop shops. And my role was to help them hire new team members, help them really fall in love with our product and want to sell it, but also help them get their stores because they had no marketing budget, right? Like their marketing was like the fly guy that like dances around in the wind, or putting flyers underneath windshield wipers in the mall. Not good ideas either way. But all the while, like I'm building relationships with these mom and pop shops. I'm falling in love like with how they're doing business because I went to school, or was going to school at the time, for psychology. And I was realizing like this psychology in our like hierarchy of needs, and just how people want to be treated, and just everything that is just the makeup of who we are really is kind of common sense when you boil it down, of like people just want to be treated with respect and care and understanding. So I was working with this mom and pop shops. I thought it was my forever job. I was helping them hire their team. I was helping them market with marketing budget as social media was just coming out at the time. And I was like, hey, we can highlight what you guys have going on social media and truly, showcase the community and the culture that you guys have here. And they loved it. And I was helping teach them how to do social media. It was a great way for them to hire. And it was like in the early stages of it. So thought I had my forever job, thought my life was set, ended up getting pregnant, as you do when you're married and starting a family. But I got really, really sick with my daughter and during that pregnancy, and I was in the hospital for 8 out of the 9 months that I was pregnant. And the company that I worked for, being a larger corporation, they're like, well, we can't hold your territory for you. We're going to have to let you go because we need to make numbers, right? We're trying to sell this data thing and beat out the competitors. And I remember feeling like, oh my goodness, like this company that I gave my everything to, blood, sweat, tears, like heart, could treat me like that. I don't want to work for a company like this. So the psychology of understanding how people work and not knowing what I really wanted to do with the psychology degree mixed with the business part, I fell in love with the social media and working with small businesses and the relationship aspect. Because I was in the hospital, I was teaching these businesses how to use social media. So they're still calling me. They're still asking for help and support. And I'm telling them, I'm sorry, I don't work for this company anymore, but I'm happy to help you. And a light bulb went off, because even though I was sick and stuck in the hospital, I could still help these companies digitally. And I remember feeling like I don't want to work for a company that can let me go at my worst. And I can use social media to really help the underdog and kind of the level the playing field, if you will. And I was really excited about that as a whole. So sorry to give you my whole like life story, but that's the backstory.
And that's the end of the interview. Yeah.
And so you started, you're known as the relationship marketing expert. You started your own business. Tell us what that looks like. We come to you because we need your help. What does this look like? What will you do for us?
Yeah, so this has evolved over 12 years. So I started my business in 2010 in March. And all during this process, I'm still continuing relationship marketing. And this is something any business can do. So I'm telling you about mine, but think about this in the aspect of how you can apply this to your business. Because when brands come to me, I ask a ton of questions. I ask them, what is their biggest challenge right now? What are they known for? What makes them different from the next guy that does the same thing that they do? Because I don't care what you do, there's somebody else that does the thing that you do. And I like to say, it's not what we do, but it's how we do it that makes all the difference. So I ask a ton of questions first before I just jump to, hey, here's a menu of services that I can provide. Please pick one. I want to get to know, is that the right fit? So my services have evolved since 2010 from just social media, because I realized like social alone is not going to do it. People want sales. I get it. Like it's not all the warm and fuzzies, even though I'm the most woo-woo person there is and live off that. I understand like that doesn't pay the bills. It has to be sales. So you need your website to back up, or your home base to back up whatever you are promoting out there, or the relationships that you are building on social media. You need your website to back it up. You also need, to have a strategy and a plan for how you are treating your team members, and starting from the inside out. So from working with me, I ask a ton of questions, and I find out where can we align to meet you where you're at, and to find out where those gaps are and where we can help support you as an extension of your business. So we try to learn the heartbeat of each business and see, okay, we can help you with the social media. We can never replace you, but we can help you tell your story in a way that's going to resonate with people. And we like to say we help brands out care. CARE is an acronym, the competition, because we help them capture attention, articulate their message in a way that's understandable so people can refer you on. We help them build relationships for repeat referral business. So how can we focus in on how you're doing business and make it more personalized, make it feel more special, make your clients, your team, your community feel like the VIPs they are for working with you. And then those exceptional experiences. So like, what is going to be your signature, that chef's kiss, as they like to say, that really helps people remember your brand and want to stick with you and be loyal for the long term. So it's a wide array of services, from social media management, web design, video production, SEO, consulting, the whole gamut of online marketing. But we really look at it from a holistic kind of, how can we help support what you already have in place?
Got it.
Okay. As I say, we're trying to ask the question at the same time then. Who would you say, what kind of industry and clients would you say are the most perfectly suited to relationship marketing? Or are there any businesses or types of people who maybe it's not the way to go? I mean, have you seen from your clients that it works better with some than with others? Is there kind of a way of working one way or the other?
No, it works for everyone. Honestly, we work with, love them to death, but the most boring industries on the planet that most people would consider, like nuclear pharmacy, a client that sells a tool that cuts holes in the ground, called Mr. Manhole. Like, we work with those kinds of clients that are, you're like, social media not so sexy for them, right? Like, but it works because relationships are the currency of business. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Of course, you can be like a Wendy's and have a lot of fun with it, right? You can be like, a company that is business to consumer and really highlight your social media. But all relationship marketing is doing and social media marketing is doing is highlighting what you already have going on internally. I like to say it's a flywheel effect. Instead of like what most people think of marketing is a sales funnel, relationship marketing takes it to a flywheel. So it takes the momentum that you already have in your business, meaning like, what is our core? What is our North Star? What makes us unique? And if we have that intact and we truly show up with this manifesto that we're here to do intact, and we hire people for the right reasons, right, that are going to align with our passion, our mission, our purpose, only look for the clients that we truly can help and really double down on them and build out that community aspect, then we start growing momentum that's going to help us grow outward, because experiences, how we make people feel, is the number one reason somebody's going to choose one brand over another. That's the number one reason. It used to be like price and like, of course they have to find you online, but experience is going to be the reason that somebody's going to choose one brand over another, especially today when we're moving into Web3, the metaverse, where things can become more personalized and people are choosing just that. Hey, I'll pay an extra few dollars. You are in San Diego, you know this, like, people will pay some extra dollars to have a personalized experience, to have that atmosphere that's Instagram worthy. They want to have that experience, but not just in business to consumer. It's also business to business. It's also in SaaS companies. It's every company, to where people can have speed, ease of use, accessibility, and feel like they matter at the end of the day, that the company gets them. That's what's going to keep people coming to them. And that, at its core, is relationship marketing is truly just caring about people first.
Well, Will you, Jessica, give us, hi, Tim. Will you give us an example of a company doing relationship marketing really well and what that looks like?
Yeah, there's a ton of them. I'll give one of my favorites that I think many of your community may know. Agorapulse, I think, does a great job of this. And let me give you an example. So me and a group of gals came together and we were forming what's called the Queenies. So we were coming together to do this group of women in digital kind of women empowerment thing to truly set a stage and talk about women in digital and how we can stand out and how we can, ensure that each of us have a pathway to get on stages and also get paid for it, but also balance like that work family thing. So we were coming together, like-minded individuals. We're coming together. We're starting this thing, decided that we're going to go live. Agorapulse reaches out and says, hey guys, we want to sponsor you a dinner. Okay. They offered to sponsor us a dinner. We were already customers of theirs. They weren't trying to woo us to them. Like we'd already been wooed by them.
Yeah.
We loved them. We already shouted them out. But they wanted to do it because they believed in what we were doing and they wanted to support it. Now, I'm not saying every brand has to buy somebody dinner and wine and all the things like that Agorapulse does, but that's just it. You're investing more in the people that have already invested in you. And Agorapulse does a great job of that. Shouting out people that are already part of their community, sponsoring events that their community members are holding, right? They're giving back to the community that gives to them. Instead of always looking outward and saying, where can I get new? And saying, okay, yeah, you guys stay over here. You're already, sold.
Yeah.
They're looking inward and saying, you guys are my people. And by doing that, and when brands do this, other people are looking from the outside in saying, I want to be a part of that community. They seem really supported and they have a cool thing going on. Like my people don't treat me that well. Right. And that's just it. And I think 2020 was this like Band-Aid ripped off for a lot of brands, not only for brands that were losing customers and not getting them in, but also brands that were losing team members. And we had what was called the Great Resignation.
Yeah.
Because people are no longer tolerating being used, whether it's for a sale, whether it's for, filling a position or whatever. We all realize there's more to life. And we all realize like we don't have to settle anymore. There's more options than ever before. And we can go to those that truly make us feel good and also are going to offer good services at the end of the day.
I have a follow-up question, Tim, really quick.
Okay. Yeah.
This is, I do this a lot. This reminds me of my background is in nonprofit and charity work. So I want to ask you, how does this work in nonprofit and charity work? Because the difference isn't that big of a difference. Nonprofits and charities still need to make money in order to keep pushing their mission. How would this work for that?
I'm so glad you asked this. So I'm going to use an example moving into Web3. Okay. Because we're working with a big national chain. I can't release all the details, but you might guess it by the end. But what they are doing, they're responsible for helping every new childcare center get certified and set up, right? And trained, and then also trying to help them get the resources to market themselves. But every new daycare or childcare center has to go through this organization first. And whereas like in 2020, for example, and even just before that, and I'm sure now, even when you can do in person, certifying and training someone to really do a childcare center is a lot of hands-on. And if you do not have a consistent, repeatable, engaging process, and when somebody's just now starting a business, they're remembering maybe a tenth of what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
This brand, instead of just marketing to everyone, instead they are taking some of their funds and they're building a training center in VR for orientation. So instead of just going through and saying, hey, if a child is choking, you do this, this, and this, A, B, or C, pick the answer. You're going to be in a fully simulated environment, spot the errors, act out what you would do. And by them investing in this, not only are they getting people more engaged, they're gamifying it, right? So people want to do it again and again, and try to beat their cohorts or competition, if you will, in the area. But also you're training up that next generation, and you're getting more people involved. You're building the sense of, hey, we're going to invest in you. We're going to give you more resources. We're also doing a kind of phase 2, phase 3 with them on helping them do like a reward system and things like that to truly help support not only the orientation and the onboarding, but also the continuing on with continuing education and support for them to market their businesses afterward. So they know they're not alone. They have this community support. So not only is it helping them grow their business, but it's also helping them feel connected and not alone in their business, right? And grow others, in their customers or parents that are coming in with children going to have a way better experience when somebody's, properly trained and went through it. And it's, in a way that does not feel like just paperwork, at the end of the day. So that's one small example in Web3, but yeah, any industry can do it.
Hi, Chris Stone this day.
All the good vibe tribe people are here this morning.
Yeah, you attracted the vibe people. Well, I'm going to ask the question. It's a long-running joke on this show that I made up one episode that Christelle was going to start a llama farm. So
and now I really want to. I'm invested, Tim.
See, it's like when it's also a suggestion. I keep saying it now. So let's give the example. Christelle has started a llama farm. We're never entirely sure what the llama farm's actually going to make money from, whether it's like getting people to attracted. Given that it's a new startup, and let's say she's got a field with 5 llamas in it, for example, and she charges people. What sort of things should she bake into the business from the beginning to make the whole relationship thing start to? Because you can see a lot of businesses, they think, well, this is exactly the sort of thing we could save money on. So we can either have a fence or we can have relationship marketing kind of thing. So what would you say to a new startup like Christelle's Llama Farm, using that example, if you could, as they like, what sort of things are, how can you start in relationship marketing? Because obviously she's not going to be going around San Diego buying dinners for everybody who might be a llama.
Yeah, no.
With my llamas, I might tell.
I think we are.
No, but if anybody wants to, I'm game to sample it out. But no, so I do have a workbook. If you don't mind, I will give it to everybody. That's free and no strings attached. That does guide them through the full process. But I'll give you the short answer of this specifically for the llama farm. But anyone, honestly, I always say, and it sounds like a cheat, but start from the inside out. If you're just getting started, you're in the best place because you have to build that foundation first. So I say first start with what makes us unique. What is our declaration of what we're here to do? Because it's not about llama farming. Anybody can do llama farming. But what are you truly here to do? Like, what is the passion around it? Right? Like, and it's sad that I have this memorized, but I'm going to read it for you anyway from memory. But Apple's like manifesto is like, here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, or glorify them. But the one thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see the crazy ones, we see genius because the people who are crazy enough to change the world are the ones who do.
Yeah.
That's like Apple's manifesto of what they created in like this little garage before they started creating computers and watches and iPads and everything else, and why they've been able to branch off into all that, and why people are such diehards like me that have their manifesto memorized, like by heart, because they started out with that. And you can compare every commercial, every ad campaign, every social post, even though they're not that active on social as much, but people they hire, everything they do, you can compare it against the tone of that manifesto and it's still aligned. So first come up with that North Star, that manifesto, what you're here to do, because then as you pivot, you grow. Your llama farm may grow into now chickens and whatever else, but now it aligns with whatever your mission is. Like we did this with a water bottle company that, okay, there's a million water bottle companies, and they realized like their manifesto was not just making water bottles, it was helping people live an extraordinary life. So when they're creating like fitness content and they're, doing other things, it aligned with what their manifesto was about, because it wasn't about the water bottles, right? And it spoke to who then they were there to do it with and for. Because if you start with that, then here's who I'm here to do it with and for, your people, both who you're hiring and your people as in who you want to work with, because I promise you don't want to work with everybody. And then from there, the next layer is who else aligns with our belief, our good vibe tribe, as I seen Chris Stone in here, and Tim in here, and all the people that have that same vibe energy that I see in different spaces, because like they're my people. Like it makes sense then to align and collaborate and to build community with them, because they believe the same sentiments that I believe. And same thing with that company. So like I said, I have a workbook that helps you ask those questions internally and build that out to start that care flywheel process of how you capture attention, articulate your message, because once you know what your message is, you don't have any challenges then writing on social media and knowing what to come up with, right? Because you know who you're writing to, you're going to make it open-ended. It's going to have your own style. And it's going to have, that timeliness about it that is building that conversation. And then from there, how you can change up some things to personalize in your experience, both in person, if you have an in-person store, and online, to make people feel special for working with you.
So we don't necessarily need the flashy. We need to be building relationships. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Like what I did when I started my business, because I had no marketing budget, I was paying to work, a new mama, I was the breadwinner before. I lost that, the car, the whole shebang. And people thought I was crazy for starting a business. And you kind of have to be a little bit if you start a business, but that's okay. No risk, no reward, right? But instead of like marketing out, I didn't have a budget either. I started offering free trainings on how to do social media. The thing that I was selling to do for people, I was offering free trainings, because I knew they weren't hiring me because they couldn't Google how to figure out how to make a social post, right? They couldn't find someone else to do it. But by them feeling empowered and understanding how you can connect and knowing that I'm willing to show them how to do it and building that trust, they're like, you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to run my business. But now I have a partner I can trust to do this. So it started out with that one person that then would convert from those trainings. Then the next person that was referred and grew from there. And thankfully, still grateful today, we grew to $1 million agency in under a year, and have grown since then, which has been awesome. But all from just building relationships and focusing on, we've never had a salesperson ever. Just focusing on the people that we serve first.
Wow. Jessika, where can our friends and friends watching find you? Where can they find you on the internet?
Sure. You can go to jessikaphillips.com. That's my personal website that has all of the social links conveniently at the top, or nowmarketinggroup.com. But I'll also put in the chat bit.ly/care more, and care is all capitalized, more, to get that free workbook that I was talking about, that'll help guide you along the care process.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Jessika.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
So yes, it's like it's. I was going to have a funny anecdote about the only thing I once talked to the Grammar Girl who runs the Grammar Girl podcast, because I always thought the word trainings wasn't the correct use of grammar, but apparently it is.
Oh,
Because
I have no idea. I think I get corrected every time when I write, but yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the unique qualities.
Training's allowed, and I'm like, oh, God. In the UK English, for whatever reason, we would say training. So we always use it as like an adjective, so like training sessions. So you wouldn't like have a training as a training. You'd have like training sessions or training activities or training things. But apparently, you can.
You're right. Yeah, I think I always get corrected in my emails. It's pieces of training or something, and I'm like, no, this is how I speak, and I'll do dots and all the other things. Makes them more human, right? So.
Yeah. Anyway, on that exciting factoid, we'll finish the show today. It's been great having you on the show today, Jessica.
Thank you so much.
And yes, I'll try and find the button to play the outro.
Thank you. And thank you to Tim and Chris who came on and had some great comments.
Yeah,
so
right.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
This is what God requires.